I assume we are. Hey everybody, I'll just wait, for people to come in because at least according to my stats, we don't have anybody in yet. That's okay. I'll just wait a little bit for people to come in, and yeah, this is going to be a very chill thing, no matter what. So, yeah, for anyone who can join, I definitely appreciate it. I figured why not do something like this, right? Because it was yesterday did not go as ideally as I had hoped. So I figured, to make up for it a little bit, let's just do another one of these where it's more casual and I can talk directly to you guys because this should just be a members only stream. If I get flooded with a bunch of other people, then I know it's not and I'll restart it. But I'm pretty sure this is a members only stream, so we can do that. But yeah, I know it was a little last minute as well. I think I sent a message into the Discord like last night saying, oh, I might do it if I have time. And turns out, yes, I do have time, but yeah, so it's just going to be what we did last time. Like it's kind of like a live Q&A type thing, which is a lot more manageable when there's fewer people. So, I definitely appreciate that. But yeah, otherwise we can just wait for some people to come in. I do also have my microphone set up with this. Which I didn't do last time. Instead of having my microphone plugged in, I had just my phone plugged into the wall because I was a little concerned if it was going to like die on me or something. This stream's probably not going to go on as long as the last one though, the last members only stream. So I figured let's just test it, see how quickly this goes through my battery. And if it doesn't go through that quickly, then then we can just keep using it for later ones. Hey, I'm just going to check the Discord really quickly. I just saw Apex's message. That's funny. I assume comments are on. Yeah, I think everything's working. I assume. May want to check the settings in a little bit just to make sure, but I think everything's still working. Again, it should be just members only stream. I'm pretty sure it is. And you should be able to hear me specifically through my microphone again for this one. Where are you? I don't know. I don't know where I am either. Who are you? I don't know, man. I don't know. But just to make sure the microphone is working, this should be me while I'm talking, and then I should be muted in just a second. So I should have been muted for that part of it. If I was, then that means the microphone is indeed working. What have you done to me? I didn't do anything to you, bro. You're here on your own accord, unfortunately. But yeah, thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Anyone else who wants to join, again, like we can chat about whatever, ask questions, we can do all that as well. I should also be spending more time, I think, in the members only VC because then you guys can also talk, right? Hello, a Candy Sensei. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks so much for joining on the stream. I appreciate it. Yeah, very, very chill thing. As usual with these, like, the really extravagant things are going to be the stuff, that go out to everybody. But of course, stuff like Ballot Banters, the members still get, first dibs at, like, what gets talked about. So that's kind of the trade-off there. For stuff like this, it's going to be a lot more casual, the members-only stuff, just if I want to hang out with you guys. Maybe we'll do something a little more extravagant later. But with me trying to do monthly streams at this point, there's a lot of stuff to plan out. I'm only here because AO3 is down, so I can't read fit. All right, well, regardless of why you're here, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Rady Awesome Dude, for the $2. It's time for a Raptor chat. Let me give that a heart. Don't want to ban you. Gotta click on the right things. Yes, thank you so much for the $2. Honestly, like again, whenever it's like a members only chat with super chats, like that's crazy to me. But I appreciate it immensely. You guys are the best. So yeah, thank you so much. Yo, Raptor, good to see you again. Yeah, good to see you too. Again, you guys steer the conversation, right? Like I can talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about, for as long as I want to talk about it. But of course, the stream is for you guys to watch. So, anything you wanna talk about, we can definitely do that. The stream is looking a lot smoother, and the reason why is because I'm doing it on my phone and not through my OBS. That is what I have to fix. I have to figure out what to do there. And the thing that scares me the most is that I really didn't change much from the last times I was streaming. So it concerns me a little bit because I'm like, I've now, promised monthly streams, but I don't even know what went wrong with OBS. So I got to figure that out, right? For my phone, though, there's no like encoding software or anything. So it's basically just my phone that's doing this. So yes, this will look a lot smoother, but this isn't the way that we run things normally, like for everyone, right? So we got to do that. Right now, busy playing OG Final Fantasy VII. That's so cool. You're playing the original. Have you seen the new Pokemon content news? I'm not sure if I have. What is that? Reinstall OBS? I did try that a number of times. I tried turning off my computer. I tried updating OBS. I tried reinstalling it. Nothing was working. Because I had tried doing it like not all of last night, all of the night before the stream and all of the morning of the stream, and nothing was working. At first I thought I had fixed it. Zero actually gave me a good idea, which was trying to use Discord through my browser instead of running the app. But it turns out that didn't really change anything. So it was a good idea, but didn't work. Definitely hear a lot of problems with OBS from peeps every now and then. I am wondering if there are like alternatives to OBS that can work. Because I think the biggest problem for me is that it used up too much of my CPU. But again, I don't know what was different from the previous times. So I don't know. If there is like a really good, workable alternative to OBS, I might try that next time. It would be a learning curve, but I would figure it out. But if there's not really, then I don't know. I'm just going to have to figure it out. Streamlabs. Yes, I have heard of Streamlabs. Is that for Mac, though? I'll have to look into that because I still have my Mac. I could theoretically try to invest in a new computer, but that seems like a major budget sink for no real reason. But Streamlabs is an OBS competitor. Okay, yeah, I see. I think I still recommend OBS. It's just so easy and it's free. Yeah, it is free. It's actually crazy to me that a program, because it has still worked. You know, as much as it failed me before, it has worked before, and the fact that something like that is free is kind of crazy to me. But it has hiccups every now and then. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The hiccup from yesterday was just a little too big. I mean, like, I was even saying before, like, oh, if I was a perfectionist, I'd probably, like, delay the stream a day, you know, just to figure it out. But it's not even a matter of perfectionism. It's a matter of just the stream looking acceptable. I'm never going to rewatch that stream. That is, to me, that is like an embarrassment. And I don't know. It just sucks. Like, because again, these ballot banters are for the members, so I especially feel bad for you guys. OBS didn't want you to show off our matchups. Yeah. OBS is a lot harsher, I guess, than I am. Do you have a favorite Genshin Impact matchup? Oh, what is it? Hanako-kun versus oh crap, what's her name? Why am I forgetting her name? But the toilet-bound Hanako-kun matchup. I can't remember the character's name off the top of my head. That one, even though it seems to have gotten more one-sided, that's the one that my mind kind of jumps to. But I can't remember her name right now. I apologize for that. But I've talked about that one on Versus Matchup Review if anyone happens to remember. Not gonna lie, I still watch the stream on my parts. Earlier discussions are so well talked about and great to listen to. Well, I appreciate that. If anything, I thought the audio was going to be fine, but apparently the audio was cutting out too. And at that point, it's like, well, then we have a big problem, because it's not even like you can turn it off or turn off the visuals and just listen to me. Like, that's a bigger problem that we have to figure out. Hu Tao. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, Hanako versus Hu Tao. That one. Yeah. I see the emoji usage. Thank you, Metal, for getting use out of the emojis. Hope you guys like the emojis. I can obviously swap out some if people aren't getting a lot of use out of some of them. And of course, the more members that we get, the more emoji that we get access to, right? I assume that if we lose members, then we also lose like the corresponding emoji count. Because there are some people that have canceled, and that's totally fair. Some people just want to get it for 1 month just to see it. I don't think anyone has been gifted a membership yet, and definitely don't like gift anything here because everyone here is a member. So definitely don't do that. But I think if someone were to be gifted, they might not renew that, right? They might only use it for the 1 month. So cancellations happen, you know, everywhere. Your segment was silky smooth. Oh, that's great. Again, like, I haven't really rewatched it. I don't know like what parts were better than others, but that's great for you. We can only gift in, okay, that makes sense. If you can only gift in non-members only streams because everyone is a member, that makes total sense. I still, yeah, if you were able to as well, I think my advice holds true, but yeah, don't, yeah, definitely don't do it here either way. Oh yeah, the pizza you saw in my track art for Rise Ryozuku wasn't pizza. Oh, it was a symbol for the Hamato clan, but it does say it is similar to the one 2013. It does resemble a pizza. Okay, well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that was somewhat on purpose. But yeah, okay. Oh, I'm getting a pop up here. Add a Q&A sticker. No, you guys. I'll just keep chatting with you guys. I don't need to do any of that. Out of curiosity, do you have a favorite Autobot and Decepticon? I mean, I like Bumblebee. I think he's a nice Autobot. Obviously, Optimus Prime, but he's like the boring answer, right? So I do, but Bumblebee, I guess, is also kind of a boring answer. I don't know. If you're looking for like a really like lesser known one, I probably don't really have one like that. But I do like Bumblebee. He might be my favorite. And as far as Decepticons go, I don't know. I'm gonna say Megatron. I like Megatron a lot. He might be my favorite Decepticon. I knew there are a lot of cool Decepticons out there, though. And if I thought about it a little harder, maybe I'd have different answers, but I'd say those might be my favorites. Oren's here, we gotta leave? Come on, bro. Who should face Arceus or Arceus in death? How the hell do you pronounce that? I don't even know at this point. Who should face that character in Death Battle? I mean, I think the main one I see these days is Aslan from Chronicles of Narnia. I've seen some people, though, have issues with the fact that I think that Aslan is literally supposed to be like a stand-in for like, is it like literally the Judeo-Christian god or something? And if that is the case, some people do have issues with that. But I mean, I don't know. Arceus or Arceus is still like the god of the Pokemon world, right? So it's like, just say that Aslan is the god of like, you know, Narnia. Like, I don't really know if that's too big of an issue. But again, like, I'm not religious. I don't know if like people have like more in-depth problems with that. But that's the one I hear more so these days. I've also heard Beerus like back in the day, but I think that one's kind of fizzled out. And I know there are other ones as well. What if I funded you to make a prediction video, Kim Possible versus Perry, as if it were to happen on Death Battle, or in case it never got an episode, etc.? Would that be possible? I mean, stuff like that, maybe. It would depend on what the price is. It would depend on like how easily accessible that. Because if everyone's, you know, bombarding me with stuff like that, then like I would never do any normal videos, right? Because I'd be too busy doing stuff like that. I mean, if anything, I get like, and then even then, like, do I post it on the channel or do I send it like directly to you? Do I make it like an unlisted video or a members only video? I don't know. So like requests for videos is stuff that's been going on in my head. But of course, I still need to keep up the regular video flow, right, for everybody. So I will let you know if something like that ever pops up. But right now, I'm gonna say not yet. That's the most I'll say right now. Yeah, well, again, we'll see. We'll see. Over having Dio versus Arceus. How do you guys pronounce it? Do you guys? I'm actually curious right now because, kind of like Rayquaza versus Rayquaza, where Pokemon I think actually officially said it was Rayquaza, even though no one agrees with that. Like none of the fans agree with that. How do you say Arceus or Arceus? Because I think Arceus is again the official one, but I might be wrong on that. I say like Arch or Arc. Honestly, I prefer either Sam from Totally Spies or Carmen Sandiego as Kim's opponent. Kim does have a number of opponents. I mean, for me, I more so like Perry versus Skipper. That's like the Perry matchup that I like. Kim, I could see a few different ones working for sure. Totally Spies, I haven't seen Totally Spies is kind of an older show at this point, so that makes sense. But I watched some of Totally Spies. That was a fun show. It's Arceus. I don't know. I mean, again, like if that character ever comes onto like, if I ever have to do that for like versus matchup review, or if that ever comes on like a death battle, like an actual death battle, I have to make a prediction for it. I will devote myself to one pronunciation. I will like look it up and try to get like the most accurate one I can. But we'll see. Also down for Kim versus Sam. Yep. Sam from Totally Spies. Like, yeah, and the new Carmen Sandiego, right? No, I don't even think it's specifically because like we want to use like, you know, we want to segregate, you know, all the other Carmen Sandiegos. It's just like that's like really the biggest one as far as combat goes, right? So it kind of just makes sense to be like, yes, like this is like kind of the main stuff we're referring to. Don't use the arse pronunciation because it means ass in Britain. Assius. Yeah, no, I get you. I have my Discord open, by the way, as well, just to make sure I can keep an eye on everything. And also, what is my percentage looking like? Okay, we're at 89%, so we started the stream at like 98% or something. So yeah, this is not the kind of stream that's going to go on forever. I do have somewhere to be as well later today, but either way, I think at least for this stream, because the audio should sound better than the last members only stream, because again, I had my phone plugged in just to the wall, and I don't have the right like adapter to have both my microphone and my phone plugged into the wall. Theoretically, I could get an adapter for that, but I don't have it yet. But for something like this, yeah, the audio quality should be better. How long will the stream be? I do have to go and do things. Well, of course, go. You can leave whenever you want. Don't let me stop you from doing what you have to do. My guess is that it's probably going to be like, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half is probably like the maximum of what I'm expecting for this. Even then, like if stuff starts dying down, I could just end the stream as well. There's no worries with that. So definitely not longer than anything I said there. That's like the high ends of what I'm thinking this stream would be. And again, we're just here to hang out. There's nothing nothing too major going on here. Don't worry. I will now pronounce Arceus like that if he's pissing me off. Yeah, you always gotta get each other like that, right? Hey Raptor, what are your opinions on seals? They have my seal of approval. I think seals are great. Imagine being poor and not joining the members only live stream. Can't be me. But yeah, that's why you guys get this stream, right? It's why you guys get a little extra content because you're a member. So in a sense, yeah, but I wouldn't be so cynical like that. Favorite elements in games: water, fire, electricity, darkness. I mean, if we're going off of Skylanders, that's the first thing that my mind jumped to. The elements that I own, because my brother and I split that game and we each got like 5 elements once they introduced light and dark. So because before it was 8, then it was 10. So the ones that I collected were water, magic, tech, life, and dark. So if we're going off of Skylanders specifically, those are my favorites. I do also like using fire in like video games and stuff though. And electricity is fun too. Those would probably like, yeah, stuff like that would probably be like my go-to in like regular games, like fire, electric, like basically just being a firebender, right? But as far as Skylanders, just because that's what my mind jumped to. Those were the elements that I collected, those 5 specifically. I would say like elements to use in every game, yeah, like Pokemon Adventure. I mean, yeah, like electricity does pop up a lot, yeah, because usually like the 4 elements when people say that are like fire, water, earth, and air. But stuff like whether it's like lightning or electricity, that pops up a lot as well. And some other like ice as well. Like even though that's just like the solid version of water. I personally like just the 4 element system because you have them like paired to each of the 4 major states of matter. Like earth is solid, water is liquid, air is gas, and fire is plasma. I kind of like that personally, but of course, you know, some games really go like further with what counts as an element. Thoughts on Monokuma versus Koro Sensei? That has moved its way into my top 50 most wanted death battles. And top 50 might sound like a weird number, but that's because that's the video I made. And after some episodes happened, it bumped Monokuma versus Koro Sensei up into that range. But yeah, I like that matchup a lot. I've gotten a lot more into that one. Would really like to see it. Yeah, it's cool when they get creative for sure. Currently making a new raid boss amiibo. Hang on, I gotta scroll up. Currently making a new raid boss amiibo. You're not gonna like me, Raptor, because I'm training it against Wolf right now. Come on! I'm just not gonna fight it. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. People have known from the Discord that I've been getting more into Smash, actually, just because people have asked to play it. So I haven't played Smash consistently in a long time. My brother and I did recently get Smash Online back. So I've been doing a little bit of doubles, but as far as like 1v1, before I started doing it more recently, I don't even remember the last time I did it. My Wolf briefly lost Elite Smash, but then I got it back. So Wolf is still in Elite Smash. And yeah, it's really hard for me to play other characters like Cloud and Link and maybe Sonic and Terry. I could jump back into if I really needed to, but it's mostly Wolf. Top 100? No. We're not doing that. Top 50. The fact, like I did the top 50 and it almost killed me. I can't even like comprehend the fact that I actually said, you know, if we hit like 800,000 on the Kickstarter, I'll do a top 100. Because like if we actually did that and I had to do top 100, holy hell, that video like I got the top 50 video out before the end of 2024. That video would not have come out until like well into 2025 if it was top 100. We should play again tonight, low key. Let's get the weenie hut together. Yeah, that'd be fun. I'll see if I have time. I think I was gonna play some Smash last night. I was too tired. But yeah, we could see if we can do that. Depends on my timing and all that. Thoughts on the Souls games? Ever played a Souls? I haven't played much of the Souls games, but some of them seem really interesting. I know I had a friend who was really into Elden Ring, and I did play some Elden Ring at his place. And yeah, it seems like a fun game if you get into, like, you kind of have to like learn how it works. You know, you have to get adjusted to the difficulty, of course. But that it does seem like really well-made games for sure. You haven't played Smash with me yesterday. Yeah, I know. I was just too tired. I apologize. I said maybe for the record, but but yeah, you know. You love Piranha Plant. Excited for Smash 6 to get announced when it can. As excited as I would be for that as well, I don't know if Smash 6 is enough for me to get a Switch 2. I still don't have a Switch 2, but I feel like everything that I want for Smash is in Ultimate already. I don't know if I would get a Switch 2 just for that, you know? The Switch 2 really hasn't proven its worth to me yet. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat, Ray. And then there's Chunky. There's Chunky. He's dead. Let me give that a heart. Thank you so much for that. Any matchups you hate? First Instinct. I really don't like Gohan versus Invincible. I find that to be a very pointless matchup. Also, Nightcrawler versus number 5 from Umbrella Academy. That's a more personal one, but that's one I might also throw into that camp. I could be spiteful and say like, you know, oh well, I don't like this matchup because it goes against my preferred for this character or something. But I don't know. Those are probably the ones my mind immediately jumps to. If you're waiting for me to say some kind of Springtrap matchup or something that like a lot of people say, I don't really think I'm going to go into that realm. But yeah, those are probably the ones that jump to mind the quickest. If Shadow ever gets announced for Smash 6, I'm buying the Switch 2, no hesitation. I mean, fair. The PS2 is still the most sold console, however. Oh yeah, the PS2, well, the most sold out of every console ever? I haven't looked that up, but yeah, the PS2 did numbers. What are your thoughts on Black Manta from DC? He's a cool villain, definitely one of the better Aquaman villains. Ocean Master's cool. I mean, that we've seen a lot of that archetype before. I would definitely say Black Manta is more unique. But I think Black Manta's cool. Aquaman, of course, doesn't have the most extensive rogues gallery out there, but I like Black Manta. Only one I will ever hate is Bakugo versus Reze. Yeah, I can understand. People really got annoying with that one. And maybe when the annoyance really like dies down, there are some people probably we'll get into like the normal the normal like there are some people that like it and some people that don't like it, and they don't have to remember any of the any of the annoying things. For me, just how annoying it was kind of turned me off from it for a while. Now I don't know what I would say my opinion on it is. Well, if Dante joins Smash 6, yeah, Dante might do it for me. Dante was one of my most wanted characters for a while for Ultimate, so there is part of that. Yeah, Black Manta's design's pretty cool. I'll definitely be looking at Switch 2 when we get like Luigi's Mansion 4, Pikmin 5, and say 3D Mario. One of those titles comes in. Yeah, fair enough. If there's something that like got announced that like was really cool to me, maybe that would change my mind. But out of what's been announced so far, even though I would definitely be playing the hell out of Mario Kart World if I did have a Switch 2, but there's nothing that's like enough for me to be like, I need this entire new console, right? And games that are like 70, 80, 90, however much money they are right now, like I just don't feel the need to sink my wallet that much, right? If there was like enough stuff that was like, oh yeah, like this is worth it, but I just don't really see it as worth it right now. If Goku gets into Smash, I'll buy a Switch too. I mean, generally speaking, it seems like they're still looking at just like video game originating characters, right? I think that still holds true for like every character. I think that's still the point. Of course, if you look at like Super Smash Flash or something, that's a little different. But for like the main games, that still seems to be what they do. But if Goku got in, that'd be crazy. Speaking of Smash Bros, what are your favorite kinds of opponents to face in classic mode? Giant opponents, metal ones, teams of opponents. A team of opponents, maybe. I like those. But in classic mode, yeah, like that's fun. I obviously I prefer playing with other people, but I guess if I really had to pick, maybe like teams. But I don't know. I didn't spend that much time in classic mode, I'll be honest. Canadian sales be like, yeah, Canadian everything. Canadian like housing, job market. And I know a lot of it is also really rough in America too, don't get me wrong, but you know, the Canadian dollar is worth less on top of that. So yeah, a lot of it sucks. I feel like Goku is just the last thing you could do for Smash Bros. You wouldn't be able to top it with that level of reception. No, I understand, but again, it's like we kind of like to joke about like, oh, Shrek could be in Smash, Goku could be in Smash, but unless Sakurai or whoever's working on it next really wants to change how the game is worked, I can't imagine them bringing in non-video game originating characters. You're Canadian? Yes, I am Canadian. I've been Canadian for a long time. Bro, I really wanted to go to VidCon this year to actually like see the Death Battle panel and all that. And apparently it's just too risky to go into America right now. And my brain does agree with that, but then it just sucks because like, when is that going to stop? Is it just going to stop when Trump leaves the office? Or I don't want to get political. I really don't. But yeah, that would have been nice to visit the US because that might have been like the only time where like I could actually like in person see some people, either people that I know or people that have watched my videos. Like, I don't know. I think that would have been fun. And just seeing Death Battle in person, all of that would have been a lot of fun. But sadly, I just don't think that's happening. You're Canadian. Hope you get better, man. Yeah, I know it's terminal. I know. Also, speaking of Smash and Dragon Ball, Wolf's render in Smash Ultimate is actually the post for Yamcha's Wolf Fang Fist. I think I did learn that. Yeah, that is really cool. We need to see other Lantern characters in Death Battle, like we've seen green with Hal, white with Kyle, and yellow with Black Adam. Yes, technically we did. But give me like Larfleeze, Sinestro, Necron. Yeah, Necron has a few opponents out there. I know Necron versus Null has been tossed around a lot, although Null also has other opponents. Sinestro would be cool. He has a few opponents, not stuff that everybody loves. Like I know not a lot of people like Sinestro versus Pennywise anymore, but there are other ones like Yuki Terumi and Ultraman Belial, I think it is. And for, who was it? Larfleeze. Well, Annihilus versus Larfleeze, I think, is the major one. Hey, if anything, you've still got the internet to check it out. Stay safe. Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. That is fair. There's a difference between being there in person and being there online, but that is fair. In 64 and Melee, it's Falcon for me. Brawl, Meta Knight, I wonder why. Smash 4, Cloud, yeah, and Ultimate, I main Joker. Yeah, I mean, Cloud was the strongest he's ever been in 4, or at least in the Wii U version. And Meta Knight was the strongest he's ever been in Brawl. For me, I don't really have mains for the first 2 games. I didn't play them enough. But for Brawl, for me, it's Sonic. I guess you could argue that was also the strongest he's ever been, but that's probably more debatable. But for Brawl, it was Sonic. For Wii U, it was Cloud as well. And then for Ultimate, it's Wolf. I did play Wolf a little bit in Brawl, but I got way better with him in Ultimate. Now we need Atrocitus versus Ryuko. We need Death Battle to cover the color wheel scaling methods. That is a deep cut. Thank you for that laugh. My Smash mains are Sonic and Byleth. I love being annoying. Oh yeah, I know those are your mains. I know, well, at least those are the ones you played against me the most. Fuck Atrocitus. We need Dexstar versus Morgana from Persona 5. Morgana, yeah, I've seen Morgana against, or I guess it's more I've seen Jibanyan versus a few different characters, one of which being Morgana. Yeah, Atrocitus would be raw as hell. He's really cool. Anyone know my guy's Elias Zox, another Red Lantern? Although, of course, Dexstar is also great. A lot of cool Red Lanterns. Brawl holds a special place in my heart. Melee too. Yeah, yeah. Brawl was the first one I ever owned, so that one holds a very special. I know not a lot of people love it, but it holds a very special place in my heart. Remember, anyone can be universal if you try hard enough, except for Atrocitus, who scales to a fucking cat. I would main Wolf too, but his recovery kind of sucks, and Wolf Flash still leads to free fall. Yeah, that's stuff you'd have to work around for sure. It does suck that like both Falco and Fox can use both their vertical recoveries and horizontal recoveries like at the same time, or like, you know, without having to land first, and Wolf just can't. That does suck, but it is something I work around. I try my best. Thank you so much, Mr. Goodies, for the $2. Let me heart that really quick. When you can, best Mario impression? Jeez. I feel like there are actually some characters I can do like decent impressions of, but Mario, I don't know about that one. Let's go! Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know if that was good. That's what you get for now. I mean, what else does he say? Here we go! Yeah, that's what you get for now. Who can you do decent? Some people say that my Patrick is okay. I remember I did Patrick randomly. Oh my god, 120. What? Wait, what unit is that? Oh, okay. I get a total in Canadian at the top. I was a little scared how much money that was, because I don't know that amount of like that currency, but I'm looking at the top, like it gets translated to Canadian for me. It's not that much, thank God. Okay, let me just heart that for a second. A Candy Sensei says, if everyone is donating, might as well join in. Well, I appreciate that for whatever amount you do. Yes, I appreciate that so much. Thank you. I was half expecting a really deep New Yorker voice for Mario, but that was surprising. It's about 250. Okay, great. Yeah. Well, let's not do anything crazy, please. Yeah, no, as far as, just to go back to the other one, yeah, so some people have said I can do Patrick decently. I did it once randomly on a stream before. Also, I did the intro, funnily enough, I did the intro for the Tournament of Champions, because again, this was during the Tournament of Champions stream. So I did the intro for like Ringmaster, doing like yeah, the Death Battle Tournament of Champions intro. A lot of people seem to think I did decently there too. Okay, $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Ray. These donuts are great. Jelly filled are my favorite. Nothing beats a jelly filled donut. Great for you. I just prefer like, you know, regular chocolate donuts, honestly. I feel like I have a very like very normal palate, you know, maybe not as expansive as it should be. I was never a huge jelly guy, honestly, but I understand, you know, the hype around jelly filled donuts. I'm sure for anyone who likes jelly, like that's just, you know, chef's kiss. But for me, it's mostly chocolate. Yeah, that's like, or if anyone knows Tim Hortons, if anyone's Canadian, the Timbits, oh, those are great. Like just chocolate Timbits. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, you know how good those are. Give me cream filled or I retire. Cream filled's pretty good too. Yeah. I like the Long Johns. Favorite Mii fighter archetype? Do you mean like either like brawler, gunner, or sword fighter? If that's what you mean, and if you mean to play as, I mostly played as sword fighter. But to fight against, I have no clue. I mean, I guess the part of me wants to say gunner, because Wolf can reflect a lot of things, but all of them are cool. I assume that's what you mean. If you mean something else, just clarify, but I assume that's it. But yeah, I play mostly sword fighter. That's a Pokemon reference. When they dubbed rice balls, they call them jelly-filled donuts. Yeah. That's fun. Some translations, you know, so funny. What's that one like really like the one like absolutely crazy translation? I feel like I'm gonna get it wrong, but it's like something like, it's not like Ghost Stories or something. Is that what it's called? It's something like that, but I know there's like this like absolutely like wild dub for like this one anime series. How old are you, if that's not personal to ask? I actually, in 12 days, I will be 25, which does not feel right. I know there's some people, like, it's the kind of thing where people call me an unk, but they still expect me to be older than I actually am. For me, though, that still feels too old. I feel like the time has gone by way too fast. I don't feel like a 25-year-old. And frankly, if you would ask me like, several years ago where I would be at 25, I probably would have assumed a little further than this. Not as far as YouTube or anything, just like life in general. But yeah, that's it. I'm 24 right now, 25 in 12 days. On Smash, I'm a DDD main mostly. I like playing all the heavy characters, with the exception being Terry. That's cool. Yeah. If you have a feel for the heavy characters, absolutely. I kind of need a little bit of speed in there for me. I feel like the heavy characters, I just feel too slow. But I think Wolf is just to bring it back to Wolf, I think Wolf is a good balance of like some speed and some power. I think that's why I've latched onto him more than like Fox or Falco, even if his recovery is worse. I was born in I was born in 2001. I was not born in 19 anything. Still can't believe you're only a couple years older than me. Yeah, a lot of people expect me to be like, I remember when I think one time I said I was either like 22 or 23 a few years ago, and people were like, I thought you were like in your late 20s. I'm like, nope, I'm not. But now I'm getting there. I am approaching that point. No one warns you for like, when you turn like 18 or 19, just like how quickly things go. And like what really messes with me is like my frame of reference for movies. Like, for example, Avengers Endgame doesn't feel like it came out that long ago, right? But that was 2019. We're getting close to 7 years ago for Avengers Endgame. And then I think of something that was like, what was 7 years before Avengers Endgame? Well, that was the first Avengers movie. So you're telling me that Endgame is equidistant between the first Avengers movie, which feels like forever ago, and now. That doesn't make sense to me. Then that breaks my brain. I still can't believe Raptor's turning 48 tomorrow, yeah. Aren't you a little young to be a sleep paralysis demon? Wow, bringing out all the inside jokes. Yes, I am. What are your thoughts on Aang versus Traveler? I think it's a pretty cool idea. I understand, again, like it kind of plays off of the element stuff like Aang versus Edward tried to do as a concept. As far as my connection to the characters, though, I have way more of a connection to Aang than Traveler, and even that, I'm not like the biggest Last Airbender fan or anything. So, it's kind of whatever to me, just as far as my hype for it, but, I think it could be interesting. I think it has the potential to be a way better Aang episode. Aren't you a little old to be a versus debater? I mean, I probably am, yeah. That's probably true. There are some people where I see them and they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm probably going to like leave the community when I turn like, I don't know, 18 or 20. And then I'm kind of here like being like, oh, is that what I should have done? Because my YouTube channel didn't start getting like a lot of traction until I want to say 2020. A lot of people say that like the pandemic year is when like they really blew up on the internet. Of course, I didn't blow up, but compared to what I was at before, my rate of increase was definitely the highest. And that's also when I started getting monetized on YouTube. So I was 19 when that happened in 2020. So if I had stopped earlier than that, then, I certainly wouldn't have this. And again, it's not like this is the biggest thing in the world or anything. It's not like this channel is changing the world, or even as far as the Versus community, it's not changing the Versus community or anything. It's definitely not something I can make a living wage off of, even with the memberships, even with the monetization. And I recognize that. But I think what's really nice to say is that it's also not nothing, right? Like, even if it's not going to push my career aspects like forward a ton or anything, or make me the most amount of money, it's not nothing. And I really like being able to say that, I can't believe Raptor fucking exploded. Damn, I'm doing everything. We need a Frank West run back. That's what I'm trying to say. Or a feature of Chuck Green or Nick Ramos from 2 and 3 respectively. Yeah, that could be cool. I know a lot of people like Frank West versus Ash Williams. I could go with that one. I could also go with, now we're moving off of Frank West, but as for Ash Williams, I could also go with Herbert West. That's kind of like Boomstick versus Wiz. So I could go with either of those. But yeah, having Frank return would be cool. What do you think of the next death battle after Cell Metal? I mean, it could be one of the ones that we know of already, because we haven't had one of those for now 2 episodes. I mean, Ichigo did get teased at the end of Ash versus Yugi, but as far as what was on the Kickstarter, we haven't really gotten one. So it could be Gru versus Megamind. I'm thinking maybe it's not going to be Light versus Columbo. And even that one's probably going to be like injected like, somewhere in between official episode releases anyway. So that might not even get like a proper tease, although I could be wrong. But as far as the next one, yeah, it could be Gru versus Megamind, could be Aang versus Traveler. Definitely not Geats versus Nero. They need forever for that one, but it could be one of those. I definitely think it could be. We haven't had cartoons in a little while. The closest thing we've had was Ruby versus Maka, and even that's just one cartoon character. And even if you don't count internet shows as, cartoons, then the one before that would have been Wily versus Tom. So I think it is about time to bring some more cartoons in. So yeah, I could see it either being Aang versus Traveler or Gru versus Megamind. I wonder if Death Battle will ever pull a Bucky O'Hare episode in the modern day, like pull out an obscure series no one's heard of. I think that's always possible. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of times where a lot of people seem to not know, like no one knew who Clive was. There were a lot of people who didn't know who Misaka was, or even Killua for that matter, which is ridiculous to me. But yeah, there are some people who still don't know, even if they're not really that niche. It's like you kind of need to be in the right internet bubbles or just the right fandom bubbles in general to kind of know certain characters, it seems. Which I guess makes sense, but still, some of it's kind of weird. But yeah, no, as far as like someone as obscure as Bucky O'Hare, it wouldn't happen often, but I think, yeah, it could happen again, for sure. We definitely aren't getting Aang vs. Traveler for a bit, probably because they want to wait till either as Krio. In a sense, I do agree with that, especially now that it's been pushed off for this long. I can understand that. But the fact that it was on the Kickstarter, before, the fact that they were comfortable just announcing it for something that could potentially have happened in 2025, there's a part of me that thinks that, like, well, could they have theoretically just have made that episode in 2025 if things were a little different, right? And that would have been before any of that stuff. So maybe now they want to wait a little bit. But I could see them doing it earlier than that, but that is a fair point. So if I really had to make an educated guess for the next time, I guess maybe I would go Gru versus Megamind over Aang versus Traveler, and that's absolutely the one I really want to see, of course. It's still weird that someone think Pokemon is a cartoon. Well, I mean, you could say anime is a cartoon, but it's like a Japanese cartoon. It's a Japanese cartoon adaptation of a Japanese comic, right? Manga. It's not a Western cartoon. Louise 2026. I have to imagine you mean Luzanne, unless you mean something different. Thoughts on the new Metal Sonic teaser analysis? I don't watch the previews because I don't want to spoil my reaction. So I don't have any thoughts on that. Unless you're just asking the room, in which case everyone can answer that. You guys can talk to each other, of course, too. It's not all just, you don't just have to talk to me. Oh, Raptor, important question for me. This should be good. Is it possible for Death Battle to add our OCs in an episode in any way, shape, or form? Is it possible for them? I mean, I guess it's possible. They can do whatever they want, but I don't really see that being likely for the time being because it's just something like that's just not really going to make as much money as something that's not in OC, right? Like there are some people where it's like, well, why can't Death Battle do this? And they just throw out like any idea, right? And it's like, yeah, maybe they could do it for like one episode or something. But when they could just as easily do an alternative that makes them more money and it still could be a good episode, why wouldn't they choose that route, right? So OC, I have no clue. I think, though, I wouldn't hold my breath on that because I could see them going the entirety of the show without even touching stuff like that. There's other people other than Raptor here. Actually, no, Meanie, you're the only one who's a real person. Everyone else here is a bot. Sorry to break it to you. Still can't believe Raptor versus Biffweed is happening tomorrow. Why do people like putting me in versus matchups? I don't get it. What are the ones I've heard? I've heard Raptor versus Biffweed. I've heard Raptor versus Red Runner. I don't think I think Red Runner makes more sense, actually. But I don't really want to weigh in on this stuff because it's not me, I mean, women in versus debating don't exist, obviously. Yeah, I've never seen one. I feel like Aang vs. Traveler will be the only Genshin matchup they'll make since the fan reaction was so hostile. I could see that, although, of course, there is such a thing as like the vocal minority and the silent majority. Like, if the Genshin Impact episode does really well views-wise, I could definitely see them doing more. But if it doesn't do very well views-wise, and that combined with the community response. I could see them maybe holding off for a little bit. But we also have to remember that, like, it's not just the people who saw the Kickstarter that are going to watch the episodes, right? This also needs to reach the people who aren't subscribed to Death Battle. And for all we know, those people might see it as a great matchup, you know? Raptor is Raptorversal. Yeah, I think that's the correct answer. I think that's the correct scale. I mean, I did create the Raptorverse. I could destroy it. So is that how that works? That's how scaling works. Let me just check the Discord real quick. Oh, someone added me. I think it's about the Hall of Fame stuff. Yeah, there's a Hall of Fame event going on in the Discord server right now. That's pretty cool. Thank you, of course, to anyone here who is a mod. Thank you so much for, like, you know, or I guess it's more the event managers who are doing it probably. I'll have to thank them later because I don't think there are many event managers that are like members. But yeah, obviously, like, huge thanks to the event managers for putting all that together and running it, because that's a huge help. Also, seeing my own Raptor me on the Discord icon after waking up at 12 in the morning was a fucking jump scare and a half. I mean, it's a unique one, right? Like, I want ones that look good, but I also want ones that are different from previous ones, right? And I'm like, we've never had a me as an icon, so why not? Although I swear to God, every time I change the icon, it's without fail always met by a few people who are like, what the hell is that icon? And at that point, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? like, I can't read your mind. I don't know what icons you're going to find to be acceptable. Yeah, I don't know. That's a little frustrating to me. That it seems like no matter which icon I choose it to, it's like people have like things to say about it. But I want it to be like, I want to change it every month, and I want it to be something that the Discord members create, right? Because that's the community aspect of it. Keeps things fresh. I'm definitely a Hall of Famer, right, guys? I haven't looked at the event too closely to know who's a Hall of Famer. But you're all halls. Anyone who's a member, for one thing, in my mind. If you're a member and in the Discord, you're already a Hall of Famer in my mind, because being a member or boosting the server or like whatever, like, again, you know, that elevates you a little higher because it's your own money, right? Like, that's still amazing for anyone to do. Regardless, you're welcome for the me. Yeah, you know, I appreciate it. Anyone who puts stuff into that channel, as cursed as some of it is, I always appreciate the hard work. And again, some of it looks a little too good. And I mean that, like, unironically. Like, some of it looks really good. So I always appreciate that. In regards to my question as well, Raptor, do you have any OCs of your own? I mean, I made one when I was like 8. I actually made like my own comics. Like, I wrote my own comics because I was in like this cartooning class or something where we had to create our own characters, and I made my own, like, my own comics in there, and I continued it on my own time. But of course, I was really young, and the character was basically just a Spider-Man ripoff, so it's not really a good character. But that's like the one OC. I think maybe when I was in high school, I also came up with my own character called like Exo, but again, it was kind of like an Iron Man adjacent character. Maybe that just speaks to my lack of originality. So yeah, don't worry about it, I guess, is my answer to that. Thoughts on death battles around YouTubers? Personally, if the character or the YouTuber is far enough away from the actual person, I think it's fine. AVGN, Nostalgia Critic, Filthy Frank, etc. Yes, I agree that in the sense of it being versus viable, they do kind of need to be like very well removed from them as people. I agree with that. Frankly, YouTubers on Death Battle never really interested me though. Like, if it happened, then fine, I would still watch the Death Battle, right? But it wouldn't be the kind of thing where I'd be like really excited for it. AVGN versus Nostalgia Critic, though, that's the one where maybe I could get a little into it. Again, I would still watch it no matter what, but Death Battle doesn't seem that keen on using YouTubers on Death Battle, though, just from what I've seen from like their ballot banters. But we'll see. Favorite cereal? I remember correctly about you collecting cereals for several Uriels. Yes, that was fun. Favorite cereal? I mean, this is kind of a backhanded answer because I used to have Rice Krispies a lot. That was like the main cereal I had growing up, but now I hate it. I think I had it so much that I can't stand the taste of it now. Favorite cereal? I don't really have cereal much anymore. I don't have breakfast much anymore, honestly, which I should change, but I haven't eaten anything today. I just noticed it's almost 3 p.m. for me. I guess the first thing I'm going to eat is probably dinner. That's okay though. But yeah, no, I really don't have cereal much anymore. Fuck you mean you don't have breakfast? Sometimes I don't really wake up. If I got like, and actually the last job that I had, like the last full-time job, my hours, the average hours that I had were 2:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. So it was the kind of thing where even when I had a full-time job, I didn't need to wake up early enough for breakfast. But when I do get another full-time job, I assume the hours are going to be more realistic to like a 9 to 5 sort of thing. And in those instances, I will probably have more regular breakfast because I need the energy, right? If I'm waking up that early, I need the energy. But there are times where like I don't wake up early enough for it to really be considered a breakfast, How do I live? I survive. I don't live, I survive. My man photosynthesis. 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 I don't know how to pronounce that. My plague has spread. That's funny. I'm trying to think if there's like a question I want to ask you guys, like just because I'm curious, like, just something I can throw out to the to the world. Are there any like major movies you guys are like looking forward to for this year? Just like at any point throughout this year, because I know like as far as stuff that like just came out, I think the new Pixar movie Hoppers is coming out like in like a week or something. And I know that we have a couple Marvel movies coming out, but if there's anything that any movies you guys are really interested in. Oh, also the Odyssey, that one's coming out, the new Christopher Nolan movie, that one should be this year. We could have a cool year for movies, and of course Supergirl, the Clayface movie as well, I think should also be this year. Mario Galaxy, yep, that's a huge one. Not really interested in non-anime movies nowadays. I mean, yeah, last year we had like 2 major hits, like the Demon Slayer movie and the Chainsaw Man movie. Those are like huge hits, even like over here, like, in North America. That's kind of crazy. I have tons of past movies. Send Help and The Long Walk I'd like to watch. What movie? I watched a movie last. Oh yeah, I watched the Rental Family, like the 2025 movie with Brendan Fraser. I watched that for the first time last night. That was a really good movie, actually. That was something. I don't know if anyone's seen it. Easily Backrooms. Yeah, I think that one's coming out this year. Yeah. Meant to reverse the points. Breakfast food is less than lunch food is less than dinner food. For me, I would just swap lunch and dinner. I would say that lunch food is greater than dinner food, even though there's sometimes some overlap with those. But for me, I would say lunch food's greater than dinner food, greater than breakfast food. But there's definitely like there are some really good breakfast foods out there. Don't get me wrong, but not all of it is the healthiest. Raptor, do you watch musical movies? Yeah, I've seen quite a few. I have not seen Joker 2, and I never will. I'm going to pretend that movie doesn't exist, because I still like the first Joker movie quite a lot, and I don't want that to ruin it for me. But as far as musical movies, yeah, I've seen I've seen both the Mamma Mia movies, because I actually played one of the 3 dads in the production, in our high school's production of Mamma Mia. So I watched those 2 movies to prepare for that role. So I've seen both of those movies. I know there are others I've seen. I think I've seen Grease like once. I like stage musicals. I like a lot of musical. And of course, like the Disney musicals are kind of cheating, but obviously like Lion King is amazing. Yeah, you would consider that a musical, right? Because they're singing for no reason, essentially. Yeah, you would consider that a musical. It's not just the soundtrack. The characters are also singing. Yeah, a lot of animated musicals I've seen as well. One I love was Iron Lung, even though it's out, banger of a movie. I still haven't seen that one. I considered seeing it, I think, earlier, but then my plans kind of got messed up. But I would like to see that eventually. Also, big question. Since several indie shows are suddenly appearing in some theaters, films or show, do you think do you think Death Battle has a chance to appear in one? Like Death Battle has a chance to appear in a movie theater? My gut says no. I don't know if that would be a worthy investment for them because they have to pay money for that, right? Like they'd have to like rent out the theater and stuff. Like, so I don't know. I'm getting a bit irritated. I'm getting ignored. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry if I'm skipping over a lot of people's questions. I apologize for that. I literally because of how many messages we get a lot of the times, whether it's for these streams or public streams, I just have to like look at, the first thing I see and then read it just to keep the conversation going and all that. So I'm really sorry if that's happening. I know that's happened to other people in previous streams where I'm like rewatching streams and I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Apologize for that. Yeah, let's see. Let me just scroll up a little bit. Iron Lung is a bit fun to see Markiplier have a panic attack for 2 hours. Yeah. I can imagine a theater-themed episode being performed live. Yeah, perhaps. If Death Battle were to come to a theater, I feel like they should do a major matchup like Mario versus Sonic or maybe Lose versus Ann. Yeah, no, at very least, it would have to be something that is huge. Something that like people would actually pay to go see in the theater. But even that, like I think I heard that like the Stranger Things finale was like playing in theaters. And even stuff for that, like stuff that's like an actual like TV show. Like I'm not gonna go pay extra money to go see it in a movie theater, right? Even for something I love like Death Battle, I personally wouldn't pay for that, I don't think, even if it was something huge. And plus it would spoil my reaction unless because for like my reaction video that I make for you guys, unless I were to see it in theaters afterwards. But then again, that seems like an even bigger waste of money, right? So personally, I don't think it's going to happen. And even if it were to happen, I wouldn't see it probably. The only reason I'm not watching Iron Lung is because the only theater near me showing it only shows it on their director club seats, which is triple the price. I hate when theaters do that, when they only have something available for a certain price. Like they don't have availability options. There's this one mall that has a movie theater, and sometimes I want to see a kids movie, right? Like I saw Zootopia 2, and there was actually a theater still playing Zootopia 2 like a week or two ago, and I saw Zootopia 2 for the first time, Sometimes I want to see a kids movie, but sometimes they're only playing it in what they call Clubhouse, which is like basically just like a kids movie theater. And ain't no way I'm going into a kids movie theater. I don't want to look creepy. So, it really sucks whenever stuff like that happens. And it's like, why not just have more accessible options? Like, I know I say accessible because like I'm an adult. I want to see the adult, in the adult theater or whatever, but it sounds a little weird. But you know what I mean? Like, why don't they just have more options for that? Something maybe like Luke Skywalker versus Paul Atreides. Well, that would actually play off of the cinema idea, right? Because, Luke Skywalker has been a cinema icon forever at this point, and Paul Atreides has been a much bigger cinema icon since the new Dune movies. So if you want to look at it from that perspective, like, it should be in a movie theater and that they should be huge movie icons. Yeah, I definitely think that's fair. That's a fair option for that. Just take a look at the Discord really quickly. Zero just sent me a message. She sent me a message at the beginning of the stream saying, hydrate yourself. I guess maybe I don't have some water next to me. I probably should have gotten some water. Hope my voice doesn't sound too bad. What's your favorite movie you've watched recently? Favorite movie I've watched. Like I'm trying to go for like specifically a new movie, although I guess I don't have to, but just like a favorite movie that I've watched for like the first time recently. Again, I recently watched Rental Family. That's a contender at least. That was a really good movie. Before Zootopia, what did I actually see in theaters? Honestly, after like Fantastic Four and Superman, it kind of felt like there wasn't much I was seeing in the theater, like stuff I was actually that interested in. It might be Rental Family, the one that I saw last night, if we're talking about like really recently. I also saw High Fidelity for the first time a few weeks ago. That's not a very good movie. I think a lot of praise that it gets is probably for the nostalgia. Voice sounding great? Okay, thank you. Again, the audio quality at least should be better because I have the microphone with me. I could probably move it a little closer, but if I sound okay, then we should be good. I can probably mute myself actually right now. Like, so I should have been muted for that. If the microphone is working, that means you shouldn't have been able to hear me for a few seconds. The movies I went to see in the theater were Superman, Fantastic Four, Iron Lung, and Chainsaw Man, Reze Arc. Yeah. I saw Superman and Fantastic Four in theaters, of course. Was there were more? Oh, yeah, Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was surprisingly good. Fantastic Four, thankfully, was also good. It needed to have been good, if you ask me. But Thunderbolts, I expected Thunderbolts to be a worse version of the Suicide Squad. And even though I would still say I think the Suicide Squad is better, that's one of my favorite like modern comic book movies. Even though I would still say that one's better, Thunderbolts was completely different. And in a very appropriate way. I was just kind of expecting it to be like a watered down version of what James Gunn was going for in the Suicide Squad, but it wasn't that at all. I was very appreciative of that. Raptor said a slur. No, I didn't. I swear. God damn it. Someone's going to dub that over. Someone's going to take that audio or that video clip and dub it over with something like wild. I can feel it. If we get a Goku death battle again, who do you think his opponent would be? If they want to bring Goku, well, I don't think they want to bring Goku back soon because it still hasn't been that much time in the grand scheme of things since we had Goku versus Superman 3. But if they did want to bring him back soon, I think it'd be a little weird to have Cell versus Metal Sonic and Goku versus Sonic so close together. I've heard Mori Jin from God of High School. That sounds like an interesting idea. It seems like they've moved off of the idea of Goku versus Sailor Moon, so I don't think it would be that. So I'd say either Sonic or Mori Jin, probably. Or Jin Mori, yeah, sorry, you could say that too. Sorry, I've been gone for a while, but my appetite was killing me. No, totally, you can drop in and out all you want. No worries there at all. I definitely I should probably eat something. Although I'm gonna have dinner. Yeah, I'll have dinner in like 2 or 3 hours. I can wait that long. It's okay. I wouldn't mind Goku versus Sailor Moon. I probably wouldn't mind it either, but I don't know if they're going to do it. I know they had major copyright problems with Beerus versus Galaxia, and I also know on a stream, like, they said eventually Goku got to the point where they didn't know if they wanted to put him against Moon, because at that point it might just be Goku beating the crap out of a teenage girl. That's paraphrasing their words. They're not my own. So you can take that however you want, but that seemed to be something for them as well that they didn't like. I don't want Goku versus Sailor Moon. Okay, yeah. No, it doesn't surprise me. There's some people that don't. Are whack as fuck franchises like Poppy Playtime or Baldi's Basics too cringe for Death Battle to make an episode on it? That, I think, is entirely subjective. I don't think they're too cringe. I think it's possible for Death Battle to not think they're too cringe and for them to use them, right? I think it's possible for Death Battle to just be like, yeah, we want to use them anyway. But there are definitely some series where some fans are not going to budge on that. And they're going to be like, no, why are we doing this? We shouldn't be doing this. It's too weird. But I don't think Death Battle is going to look at every series like that and be like, oh, no, we can't do it. I think anything's possible, honestly. What's your preferred for a Sonic run back? Well, it probably depends on what version of Sonic we're using. I honestly wouldn't mind Mario versus Sonic 3. Usually I'm really against rematches, but that's one I'd actually be okay with. But I would want to wait a while for that one. There's been a surprising amount of Mario versus Sonic talk lately, even from the Death Battle crew themselves. I don't know if I would want that so quickly, though. But then I also wouldn't want Goku versus Sonic so quickly because we have Cell versus Metal Sonic right now. If Sonic needed a different opponent, I might say Goku. Although, again, I don't know exactly what versions of the characters I would want. Like, maybe you would composite everything. Maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. But I think my number one answer is another Mario versus Sonic. So you're telling me Forum Freak Show has a chance? Yeah, I think a lot of series have a chance, you know? But a lot of it will also come down to what Death Battle thinks is profitable and what they're genuinely passionate about. Like, if they don't really know Forum Freak Show, if they don't really know Mashup Week, and if they don't think it's going to get them views, then that's kind of enough for me to think we may never see it. But if they think it is profitable enough and or they're passionate enough about it, then it has a chance. Yes. Did I forget to ask if your thoughts on Blaze versus Starfire Triple F? I still haven't seen that. I should probably see it though. I've heard great things about it. Hopefully by the next time we do one of these streams, I will have seen it. I can give you an answer on that. I do find it funny though, because like wasn't Triple F the same series that did Cell versus Metal Sonic, and Cell won, which goes against the general consensus, I'm pretty sure, and everyone hated it. But then in Blaze versus Starfire, Blaze won, which I think also goes against the general consensus, but people liked it. Seems to be some Sonic bias going around. Let's get DCEU Superman versus Movie Sonic. I've heard a few options for Movie Sonic. I don't know if I want to see that guy on Death Battle, though. Not because I don't like him. I think it's a very interesting version of the character. But I don't know. There's just a lot of times where I see like a specific version of a character. I'm like, I don't really know if I want to see a specific version so bad. Is Doomslayer versus Kratos close or a stomp? It wholeheartedly depends on how you scale them. Based on the way Death Battle looked at Doomslayer, it would be a stomp. But I think there's enough questions of like how to scale them for it to maybe be worthwhile. I'm sure there are various interpretations though that would make it pretty one-sided, but I think a lot of those interpretations aren't like set in stone. Like not everyone's going to agree on them, you know? So from that perspective, you could say, yeah, it would, from that perspective, you could say it could be worthwhile. Sonic is greater than all of fiction. Yeah, of course he is. Of course, my favorite characters are better than all your favorite characters. Personally, I side with Doomslayer on that matchup. Interesting. Yeah. Master Chief versus Doomslayer, as cool as the fight was, it still has like, it's like the embodiment of my main issue with Death Battle, which is that how do I put this right? They prioritize the comparison of the characters and making the script sound interesting over actually trying to analyze the characters as best as they could, right? Because, yeah, there were definitely way better ways to analyze those characters more accurately to how they are even just outside of the matchup. And that especially goes for Doomslayer. I don't think Death Battle should just be answering the question of who would win in a fight. If you're saying you're going to provide a structured analysis on a character, that analysis needs to stand on its own, you know, and not just service the comparison. I'm considering making a whole video on this, actually. Like something called like my only problem with Death Battle or something. I don't know if that's something people would actually want to see, but like it's kind of a script that kind of like goes in my head a lot. Something I wouldn't mind talking more about. Speaking of Doomslayer, is the Crucible mightier than Buffy's Slayer Scythe? That depends on how you look at the enemies they're fighting and the things that they would scale to. The Slayer Scythe, of course, the multiverse devouring god. You know, it sometimes it's pretty hard to get past that, but of course, Doom scaling goes crazy as well. So I don't know. You guys can talk about that if you want. Why I hate Death Battle now? No. It would definitely start with something like, it would start with me praising Death Battle, saying all the things I like about it, and then going like, however, it's also fair to criticize things that you like. And then I would get into my criticisms, right? That's why I would call it like my only problem with Death Battle, because I wouldn't want people to misinterpret that and be like, you know, well, so you hate Death Battle now? I did do a video called Top 10 Reasons Why Death Battle Sucks, but that was a joke video. That was a shit post. I don't know if anyone's actually seen that. My bad, Raptor. Did you my 2 huge posts above? Again, I'm really sorry if I'm missing things. The window for like the chat window is very small when I'm doing it on mobile. I can only see like 4 or 5 messages at a time. So I mean, how far can I scroll up? I can maybe get to one of them. Do you think Death Battle should work more on getting official resources to helping them out? For example, Alan of Villainous is down to anime for them. Making Homer versus Peter could legit be referenced on The Simpsons Family Guy. Shouldn't Death Battle work to where official sources can get them more noticed? In a sense, yes. I think when possible, maybe when they don't have to go out of their way as much, because again, there might be a financial aspect to it. There might be some hurdles there. I think maybe it's like when it's easy for them to do, yes, they should try to do it because I think it would only make things better. But if they have to like actively go out of their way to do it for each and every episode, that might not be worth it to them. I remember seeing that April Fool's episode, Raptor ranting about Death Battle. I don't even know if that was April Fool's. Okay, here's the thing. I like pranking people. You guys probably know that like I do a lot of like jokes on the Discord and on the channel. You know, I like doing stuff like that. I like pulling pranks, but I kind of hate the concept of April Fool's Day because it removes the mystery. A prank kind of relies on being unpredictable. So why are we having a day dedicated to pranks? That removes the suspense. It removes, you know, people are on their guard all the time. They expect it to be coming, and then it doesn't work. So what are we doing? Also, don't forget that Courage's voice actor was down, curious to help them out, but time constraint. Yeah, see, sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes I know. I think they also reach out to Scout's voice actor for Tracer versus Scout, and it just didn't end up working out. Like I know they try sometimes, or sometimes things happen, but it just doesn't work out, right? And that's the business of running a show, right? You can't always do what you want to do. I'm head out for the day. I have to study for my exam. Okay. Thanks for stopping by, though. I appreciate it tons. I hope you do well in your exam. Just gonna check the Discord really quickly. I feel like I always have to be like on watch for the Discord in case something like happens. But looks like everything's good. How long have we been doing it? Okay, so we've actually been going for like an hour. Okay. Again, like I said, an hour and a half. I can't see this going on for 2 hours. An hour and a half maybe is where I might cut it. Personally, I would have given the episode more time so we can get the official peeps to help them out. I mean, again, it also kind of depends on scheduling. Like, they can really only push something back if they're able to bring something up. Like, if they're able to release something ahead of schedule. Unless they do, well, because, yeah, what they did for, when they had to push back Hulk versus Godzilla a week, eventually that led to them making only like a 3-week gap between Ruby versus Maka and Blade versus Buffy, right? So it kind of depends on the flexibility with other episodes because they can't put all of their focus into one episode. They have to make sure that all the episodes are at least serviceable on their own, right? They can't make one episode like amazing if only to make another episode absolutely terrible, you know? They can't really devote their resources in that way. Everything needs to reach a certain level of quality, and then if something is well beyond that, like Bowser versus Eggman, for instance, then that's amazing. But they can't do that at the cost of other episodes. I love when they got Death Battle got Silver's voice actor to voice Silver in Silver versus Trunks. I know for real they did, but we're legally not supposed to say that, right? It's no use, Isu Ansi, or whatever it was. That's why I wait for April 1st to talk about super serious things in my life so people think it's a prank. Honestly, that's one of the better pranks you can pull on April Fool's Day. That's one of the better things you can do because that's what people aren't expecting. Research-wise, did you hate Yang versus Tifa? I mean, in retrospect, I like Tifa a lot, and they definitely did her dirty there. You know, Yang, I think they did decently. You know, some things you might not agree with, but especially for Tifa, yeah. They just look at things a different way, right? They look at Final Fantasy in a more literal way than they used to. I think the more literal way is the more correct way, personally, but clearly that's not how they thought before. Yeah, it's no use. It's so fun how sometimes they can turn like some characters' catchphrase and give it like a whole new meaning. Like, it's no use is saying, you know, like Trunks stop, it's no use. and also SpongeBob. Like, I know it's not really like that different of a context, but saying like, I'm ready to rocket back to Earth from the other side of the universe. That's fun, you know. I say give them both a run back. Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm actually going to be reviewing Tifa versus Makoto in the new episode of versus matchup review, which comes out in like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks or something. I'm currently writing it or planning it out more so. And for Yang, I think I can say Yang versus Vi is probably my preferred for Yang right now. Some people like Yang versus Bakugo. I think you can get someone better for Bakugo. Bakugo versus Rexplode is so close to being my preferred for him. But I think I said this in yesterday's stream actually as well, that the debate is just like, the discussion is so uninteresting, like painfully uninteresting. If it was just even a little more interesting, that would probably be my definitive preferred for Bakugo. Oh yeah, this next comment is for all those Three Doors Down fans. Oh, okay. Two truths and a lie. I have eaten pig blood and chicken intestines. I have died. I drank the wine for the priest. Well, unless you're saying I've died as like, you might be saying like, oh, my heart stopped for a little bit, like when I was in the hospital and then it went back. I'm going to say I have died is the lie, because if it's not the lie, then I'm going to look stupid. If it is the lie, though, then it has to be something along the lines of that. I'm excited to see your thoughts on Chucky versus Slappy. Yeah, that's another one that's going to be in there. You would be able to I guess everyone would be able to, because I do it like 8 at a time. I think though the 8th one has not been decided yet. So when that gets posted, then I'll know all 8 matchups that I'm doing for the next round. Yeah. But you would, if you scroll back far enough, you would, and where we last left off in the previous versus matchup review video, you would know nearly all the episodes that are being reviewed next time. What about Pegasus Seiya? If you mean like for a certain character, I'm not sure. Pegasus Seiya is my preferred for Sailor Moon. I would really like to see Seiya versus Moon, or Seiya versus Usagi, I guess. But I'd really like to see that one. The priest wine is the lie. Okay, so the whole died thing, like I assume it's some kind of something or other, like I said. But again, if I didn't go with that one, and the answer was like, no, I have died is the lie, well then I'm just gonna look stupid. So for the sake of that, for that alone, that's why I went with that. Jumanji or Zathura? Jumanji. I say Jumanji. I really like the original Jumanji. And the sequels, like the ones, with The Rock, Jack Black, Karen Gillan, Kevin Hart, those are enjoyable as well. I don't think The Rock is that good of an actor, personally. I think as far as like wrestlers turned actors, Dave Bautista and John Cena clear The Rock easily, personally. But he's still fun to watch, right? And I did enjoy those sequels. OG Jumanji is my favorite movie of all time. Yeah. It's a good one. I should see it again. I haven't seen it in a really long time. Of course, rest in peace, Robin Williams. Robin Williams has so many good movies. I remember I saw Good Will Hunting for the first time way too late in life. I don't know how I went my whole life without seeing it once up until that point, but Good Will Hunting is an amazing movie as well. And of course, his comedies, like his straight comedies, are great. Whoa, spicy take. Yeah, I know it's not that much of a hot take, but just to be clear, I just wanted to clarify when I say that I like when I enjoyed those other movies, it's not because of The Rock. Have you watched the Cuphead show? No, I haven't. Might get to it at some point. Aladdin for the win too. Yeah, one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. If we're not including Pixar, because that kind of makes it a little too difficult, I would say like my favorites are like Lilo and Stitch is probably at the top, and then like Lion King, and then maybe Aladdin. For a while, I would have said Lion King was my favorite, but I mean, at this point, I think I got to be honest with myself and say Lilo and Stitch. I got to go now. It's 4 a.m. and I've yet to sleep. Oh my God. Yes, please go get your sleep. Yes. Thank you so much for stopping by, though. I appreciate it. But yes, go get your sleep. And as far as Pixar movies, what's like I mean, obviously the Toy Story trilogy is great. WALL-E, Monsters, Inc., Up. I think current day Pixar gets a little too much hate, but like, the original like 10 movies or so, like that era of Pixar is still overall better. But there are some newer Pixar movies that I still have really enjoyed. Have you ever heard of an anime called Bobo 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 Bo? Yes, I have. I very much have. I talked about him a couple times on this channel as far as matchups go. It's a very fun anime. Freaking love Zootopia. Yeah, that's not a Pixar movie, but yeah, as far as Disney movies go, you're probably referencing Disney movies, actually, yeah. Yeah, Zootopia, I think Zootopia 2 as well, like, I probably like Zootopia 1 slightly better, but Zootopia 2 is a very worthy sequel. It was very much worth making. I gotta go 2 Raptors, so here's my final super chat. Okay, I'll be sure to read that when you get there. We need another, oh, hang on. We need another WWE matchup in Death Battle, I personally, with The Undertaker, who works with the Supernatural. Easier to separate the character and actor, like with Randy Savage. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Undertaker, I think, is a lot of people's big one. And final super chat. Thank you, Ray, for the $2. Bring me another bag of them chips. Hope you get your chips. Thank you again so much for stopping by, and thank you for the super chats. For anyone who's super chatting, huge thanks to all of that. Zootopia, I haven't seen yet. Yeah, well, Zootopia, how old is that now? That's like 2016, right? 2016 movie? It's pretty, yeah, the fact that I still don't understand why sequels take so long to come out. I don't understand why seasons of TV shows take so long to come out. There was this joke I saw about like the new Harry Potter series where they're saying that like they want the Harry Potter series to last for 10 years. And then someone replied with saying like, oh, so they're making 2 seasons. And unfortunately, that is so accurate. It's ridiculous how long stuff like that takes. The Boys takes forever to come out. The Boys seasons. I know we're getting the final season this year, but like, and the Stranger Things was a huge one. Why does it take so long for Stranger Things seasons to come out? I know it's over now, but whatever. That was something that especially with like how the kids were getting older, like that was something just ridiculous to me. And don't even get me started on Invincible, where they're able to get things out at like a current rate, but they need more money put into that show for like the animation. The writing's great. The voice acting is great. The animation needs to be better though. For some reason, it just doesn't have the money that other Amazon Prime shows have. I guess because it's animated. But if anything, I think that means it needs a bigger budget than it has. You haven't seen Zootopia 2. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I wish I was more active in the Discord. Well, of course, yeah, there's like, tons of channels. If you prefer just sticking with like the members and the members chats, like something a little more private, that's why we have the members chats. But if you want to, talk with other people, like I'm sure they're happy to like talk about matchups or whatever. We have geek chats, right? If you want to talk about just like what we're talking about right now, just stuff like that. I'm sure there's tons of people willing to talk. I love Invincible season 1. I seriously need to catch up. Yeah, we have, because season 4 is coming out around the same time, actually. Well, it's coming out in March, a little before the final season of The Boys. Yeah, so we have Invincible coming back. I've caught up with Invincible right now. Still a great series, but man, dude, like I don't know if it's just, maybe I'm nitpicking too hard, but I know it's also not an unpopular opinion to be like, the animation just needs to be better. Again, like the voice actors I know take a lot of the budget. I don't know if it all comes from the same pool though. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But man, they need a bigger budget. Like Amazon has the money. Just give Invincible some more money. I love the Raptorverse. I can't lie. Lots of awesome people there. Yeah, there's a lot of cool people there. I appreciate that tons. Have you played Starhawk? I don't think I have. No. Unless I'm brain farting on what that is, but I don't think I've played that. No. Yeah, there's a lot of games that either I never had the right console for it, or in my formative years of game playing, it just never really got on my radar. I had just like the standard Wii for a really long time. And then the only reason why I switched over to a PS3, which I think the PS4 either was out at that point or it was coming out. But the only reason why I switched to a PS3 was because there was a game my brother and I wanted to play that for some ungodly reason did not have co-op mode on the Wii. Just the Wii. The Wii did not support co-op play. And it wasn't even online. It was just like literally two people in the same room. So that was ridiculous. I had a Wii for a really long time. Oh yeah, going back to Gohan versus Invincible, the only version of that matchup I like is Future Gohan versus the Invincible War. I actually arguably like that one a little less, but I totally get, because that does work to fix some problems that Gohan versus Invincible has. So I can totally understand preferring that one. Frankly, I don't really like either of those, though. Favorite fighting game? Mine has to be PlayStation All-Stars, and I love Multiverses. Well, if we're including like the party style, like that kind of like platforming stuff, like for me it would be Smash. As far as like others though, like I played a lot of Ultra Street Fighter 4. That was fun. Mortal Kombat, Injustice. I played a lot of Injustice as well. I never owned Injustice 2, but I played it quite a bit at a friend's place. Injustice and Smash, I want to say, are the ones I played the most, like just, you know, in terms of quantity. But of course, like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter are also great. Love the Wii, had it forever, but it's broken now. Yeah, my Wii is also broken. Everything I owned on the Wii, which was like a ton of games, can't even play it anymore. It sucks. I think actually I had it at my grandma's place for a while, which was too complicated to explain why I had it there, but it was there for a while. And then while it was there, eventually it just wouldn't work. Are there any characters you want to see James Gunn's DCU try to adapt? Personally, I want to see Deadman. Deadman would be cool. And maybe Phantom Stranger. They already doing a show for my boy Booster Gold, so I'm set. Yeah, that should be fun. They haven't said who they're casting for Booster Gold yet, have they? I'm really interested in that. Yeah, Deadman would be very cool. Phantom Stranger would be trippy. Phantom Stranger is such like a weird character in the comics, but like in a good way. And Deadman would be cool to, even if it's like even if it's not like his own thing, but like incorporating like a bigger story, that'd be very cool. I have a soft spot for Static, but I don't know if that's like a huge priority right now. We can't expect James to be prioritizing like every DC character under the sun to be in something. I guess the big one though for me is Beast Boy. I did not like how they did him in the live action Titans show at all, and I think Beast Boy is James's kind of character. I think he knows how to do that character well. He's kind of like a Human Torch style character where like I think a lot of people know him just for his silliness, but he's way more than that. There's layers to him. And I think James can really work that well. So Beast Boy, I think, is my pick for him for the DCU. Luffy versus Naruto, that's a matchup I really like. Yeah. I would really like, that's in my top 50. I know it's not the perfect matchup, but it is one of those where it's like, I think the legacy honestly just carries for me. Maybe I'm biased in that sense, but I think legacy matchups still have a place on Death Battle. Because even if they don't have a ton of connections, you can look at the matchup and immediately know why the characters are fighting, which is kind of what connections are supposed to do in the first place, right? Justice League Dark would be amazing. Yeah. I mean, yeah, characters like Constantine, Zatanna, like, you know, like more magic based characters or stuff that like overlaps with Justice League Dark. Yeah, that could be really cool. Again, though, we don't have that much DCEU material yet. I'm sure James has plans for a lot of characters, but there's no way he has plans for every character under the sun. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, I probably should have gotten some water. I do feel my voice going a little bit, although we are getting close to 3:30 on my end. So we'll probably wrap this up in a few minutes. Again, like I said at the beginning of this, I do very much apologize for what happened with the stream. Again, it scares me that now I've committed to like monthly streams and I don't even know what went wrong and I got to figure that out. But point is, all we know for now is that the stream yesterday didn't go as ideally as possible, but I hope that, you know, again, I got across the ballot bantering that you guys wanted from me, and if anything, I hope this makes up a little bit for it, just because, again, you know, I feel bad for everyone watching it, but I feel especially bad for, you know, the people where I'm supposed to be giving thoughts on their matchups, right? So I figured just like a little members only stream on top of that could be fun. No worries at all. We go onward and upward with streaming. Yeah. It'd be one thing if I was trying out like a bunch of new things and I'd be like, okay, so clearly my laptop can't handle it. But the only thing that new that was open on my computer was Discord, and even then I closed it before we even started, because I just started using it on my browser and that didn't seem to help. So I gotta figure out what was wrong with it. And there's a lot of people in the Discord who are saying like, oh, do you want to do like gaming streams? Do you want to do stuff like that? And like, while I think that would be fun as hell, I'm a little concerned about the capabilities of my laptop now. Like, if it can't even do that, which it used to be able to do before, I kind of have to work my way up to stuff like that, right? And even if the next Ballot Banter stream is in 2 months, the next stream should be in 1 month. So we'll just see how it goes. Honestly, I think desktop is the way to go for streaming, making videos. Just a much stronger platform, I find, over a laptop. Yeah, I mean, like, the laptop is like the only computer really that I own. I don't really have like a PC. I don't have the laptop is really the best thing that I have. So again, I could try to invest in something else. I could invest in maybe a more powerful laptop potentially, but it is the kind of thing where I know I was able to make it work before because I did get better with streaming in 2025. And if I can find a way to make it go back to that, that would just be a huge money saver. But if it turns out that I can't, then we'll see. Not having a full-time job right now does kind of suck because it's like I'm focusing on my money a lot more closely now. And I don't want to spend money that I don't have to spend. How well will Gon from Hunter x Hunter opponent should be in Death Battle? How well will Gon? I mean, if you're asking like who should the opponent be, I'm not sure. I actually will be reviewing Deku versus Gon in the next episode of Ballot Banter as well. But as far as Gon, I know some people were saying Yusuke. I definitely don't think it should be Yusuke. Yeah, Gon doesn't have like the biggest matchup spread right now. And Deku's been on the show twice already, but I want to talk more about that in the next video. When it comes to Death Battle matchups, I keep a JoJo's triangle grid in my head for now, how much I like the matchup. The 3 points being debate, connections, contrast story, and animation potential. Those are usually the 3 things I keep in mind as well. And like from matchup to matchup, there might be some extra things to think about. Like, again, it's a real case-by-case basis thing, right? At least that's how I see it. And yeah, I do agree those are like the 3 main things. Personally, I put debate on like a little bit of a lower priority list just because if we really look at matchups, a lot of matchups, like the vast majority of matchups, technically aren't debatable if you have all the information you should have, right? So if there is a matchup with like really good animation potential and like really good connections, a really good core theme and all that, I think those are the most important things. A good debate is really good too, don't get me wrong. And I think having a better debate is better than not having a good debate. But, that's kind of one where I realize we kind of have to make sacrifices there, because if you're only trying to prioritize matchups that are debatable, there really aren't that many of them if you have all the information you need. Gotta go, Raptor. Have a nice day. Please smash with me. I will see about either, like, again, I know Zero was asking about it before. I will see if maybe I can make some Smash Bros time tonight. Either for some people or one per, like, we'll see. We'll see what happens. What about Gon versus is it Kabane Kusaka? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if I'm too aware of that character, but that seems interesting. I may read up a little bit more on that. Raptor, I think my last question for me, do you know about the Marvel character Forget-Me-Not? I feel like I've heard of that character before, but I'm not getting a mental image of them right now. But Forget-Me-Not sounds so familiar. So yes and no. I've definitely heard of that character before, but like I'm not getting anything concrete about that character. But yes, I think I have. Okay, I think this is probably where we'll wrap it up then. We've reached an hour and a half. Again, that was about the high end that I was expecting for this. Should probably eat something. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in for this. I appreciate it tons. And again, for everyone who super chatted as well, like, huge thanks to you again as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see what happens with the next streams. I will try my very best to make sure it all goes okay. Oh, basically his power at the moment is you look away from him. Your memory of him gets completely wiped. Yeah, that sounds familiar. So canon powers even in real life. I get you. Taco time. Hope you enjoy your taco. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it tons. But yeah, see you later and have a good night.